This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
How has the market been reset for various NFL positions this offseason? What's going on, everybody? Good morning. It is cut down day here in the NFL, and the Seahawks have so far been sleeping in. I thought they would do some stuff yesterday, but after making that trade for Gibson and cutting cornerback Willie Roberts to make room for Gibson, we didn't really do anything else. We just chilled and watched some other teams make their cuts. And as of the recording and uploading of this video, I'm not aware of any cuts the team has made. By the time you watch this video, maybe by the time it actually gets published, things will have started to happen. But as of where I am right now, nothing has happened. So what's probably going to go down is sometime later today. I'd say 4 or 5 hours from now, I'm going to make a video that just runs down everything because it looks like the Seahawks are just going to announce everything at once. Maybe it'll be in the next couple of hours. Maybe it'll be right around the deadline, which I believe is in 4 hours. So either way, we'll know soon, and I will cover it the best that I can once we get the information. I might do a stream tonight or in the afternoon as well to discuss some of the cuts. So yeah, that's basically what's going on here. So I wanted to take this video to talk about something completely different while we're waiting. I wanted to talk about the ways in which the market got reset at various positions across the NFL this most recent offseason, because when you look at it, most positions actually had the market reset, and I wanted to talk about the ways in which this might affect us as Seahawks fans. So we're going to talk about that today. Before I get into that, though, I want to tell you about my friends over at BetUS, the best sportsbook and casino on the internet. You can go over there right now. I'm looking at the odds on screen on NFL regular season rushing yards leader. Regular season rushing yard leader. You can get Ken Walker III at 31 to 1. Do you think Ken Walker can lead the league in rushing yards? Have you seen that guy in training camp? Have you seen that the way that guy looks? He looks like he could lead the league in rushing yards. And if you feel like you want to throw down a wager on it, go do it over at BetUS. They boast the fastest payouts in the industry, 125% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on your first 3 deposits, 200% crypto deposit bonus, fast and easy deposit and withdrawal process. If you want to know more, click the link down in the description. Go to BetUS, get to some betting, check it out. Plenty of other things you can bet on. You can bet on the futures. Remember, this is the last couple weeks you can do futures, you can do games, you can do over-unders. Get to some betting. All right, so let's start with setting the QB market. Let's set the QB market here. This is the one that pretty much everybody knows about. If you're watching this video, you probably know about this. The quarterback market got set earlier this offseason when 2 good, not necessarily great, not super accomplished, but successful, decent quarterbacks got $55 million a year, Trevor Lawrence and Jordan Love. Technically, they got the same average annual value as Joe Burrow did last offseason, but I think it's different. Joe Burrow was an elite quarterback when he got that $55 million a year. He was in the conversation for top 3 quarterback. Clearly, I thought he was the second best quarterback in the league, personally, behind Mahomes. So Joe Burrow getting $55 million a year felt normal and logical. Lawrence and Love, they're pretty good quarterbacks, but they have 1 playoff win apiece. They don't have a long track record of over-the-top success. They haven't sniffed a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow has played in a Super Bowl. So them getting $55 million definitely felt different because they're a different kind of quarterback. And let's not forget guys like Tua and Jared Goff getting 53 approximately per year, when those guys are, I mean, they're okay. They're all right. They're I don't even know if they're really like good quarterbacks. They're just okay more than anything. So to me, the market being set at that level could absolutely have an effect on the Seahawks going into 2025, because next year Gino's going to have 1 year left on his deal. He's probably going to want a new contract. And if he plays well this season, which I think that he will, if he has a good season and Seattle has a good season, he's going to want a new deal, and he is going to be empowered, if he wants to be, to say, where's my 55 million? Because next offseason, Brock Purdy is probably going to get somewhere around 58 million a year if he wants it. If he has a good year this year and the Niners go deep, I imagine that he's going to be getting somewhere around $57, $58 million a year. And Geno Smith is going to be able to say, look, Trevor Lawrence got it, Jordan Love got it, Brock Purdy got more than it, Tua basically got it, Goff got it, where's my 55 million? And even if it's not 55 million, it could be 50 million. And at that point, what you're kind of splitting the difference there. It's still massive. It's still monstrous. The one thing that could maybe hold him back would be his age. You can see that all these quarterbacks, when they signed their deals, were a good deal younger than Geno Smith will be next year. But I don't feel like that's going to have that big of an effect on things. So Brock Purdy, you got to figure he's going to reset the market next year. And Geno Smith, if he has a good year, can cruise in somewhere right underneath him at that 50 to 55 million if he wants it. All right, so moving down the line here, we got running back next up here, and the market was reset on a contract that kicked in this offseason on Christian McCaffrey. I think this extension was signed before this offseason technically, but regardless, the start year of the extension is 2024. 2 years, 38 million, that's 19 per, which destroyed the market. It destroyed the current high, the previous high rather, of Kamara. His contract, by the way, was signed way in 2020, so the market had not really been reset for a little bit there. You can see that there's a significant drop-off here. Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, and then you get down to guys that aren't even at 10 million. So Christian McCaffrey has clearly set the market after having a borderline MVP season. From a Seahawks perspective, if Ken Walker has a really good year, he could go into next offseason wanting a new contract. And obviously, he's not going to be McCaffrey because McCaffrey adds all that value as a pass catcher as well. And Walker, while he is a good pass catcher, is not a McCaffrey-level pass catcher. But could Walker say, look, I know I'm not McCaffrey, but the market needs to go up a little bit. And even if I'm a little behind where McCaffrey is, I should be somewhere around that 15 to 17 million a year. I think so. If he plays well this year, and I have every reason to believe that he will. The one saving grace could be that he might not put up monster numbers because of the fact that this team is going to throw the ball a lot this year. But if he's efficient and effective, he gets in the end zone a lot. I mean, I already talked about him maybe winning the rushing title this year. Admittedly, it's not the most likely thing in the world, but the fact that we're even having that conversation should make you think, hey, could Walker ask for some sort of 4-year, $60 million extension next year? And could he get it? It's feasible if you consider the fact that McCaffrey just mulched the ceiling here with the 19 million per. Next position would be wide receiver, which has been reset a couple of times this offseason. I mean, really, Justin Jefferson was the guy who really reset it when he got 35 per, but CeeDee Lamb got signed yesterday for 34, AJ Brown got 32, Amon-Ra got 30, Tyreek Hill got 30 on a redone deal with Miami. So the top of the line deals have been defined. By the way, we still don't have anything on Brandon Ayuk, who's probably going to come in somewhere in that top 5. And there's also the matter of, I think there's one other receiver out there who's probably going to be looking to cash in before this season starts. So I don't think the market will be redefined, but the market's already been defined really well at 35 million for the top of the line guys. And next offseason, with DK in the last year of his deal, that could affect the Seahawks. And your first instinct is to say DK is not nearly as good as Justin Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb, and you'd be right, but the market will move up, and DK Metcalf might be the top receiver on the market next year, or at the least the top receiver on the last year of his deal that is in a position to negotiate for a new deal next year. So that being the case, I don't think he would get 35 million a year next year, assuming he plays well in 2024, but be prepared for DK Metcalf to ask for more than 30 million a year. If he performs this year, and I think it's a reasonable thought to say that he will, and he doesn't necessarily have to have like 1,800 yards or anything like that. He doesn't need to have 20 touchdowns. He just needs to be good, right? He just needs to be effective. He just needs to be one of the better receivers in football. He needs to play at a Pro Bowl level, and he'll probably be able to negotiate a contract at that at that high level. And because of the way the market moves, I think that if DK Metcalf looks for an extension next offseason, you are talking somewhere along the lines of $32 million a year. That's basically AJ Brown money, but it's 1 year out. It's 1 year removed from AJ Brown's contract extension. So, yeah, that's where I would put it based on the way the market is moving. So already you can see the massive effect these market movers are going to have on the Seahawks in the next few years. Now, tight end, there's really not much to say. The market got reset technically with the Travis Kelce extension, over $17 million a year, but the Seahawks don't really have anybody who's going to be eligible for that. Noah Fant is actually barely in the top 10 of this list as is, by the way, and there's no way Noah Fant's going to have a big enough year to push up to the top of this list, even if next year will be the last year of his deal. So we don't have to worry about this. Excuse me. Tackle, on the other hand, left tackle. So this is left tackle. You can see that the market was reset this offseason, like most positions, with Tristan Wirfs. Tristan Wirfs got $28.1 million per year from Tampa Bay, and the extension kicks in this season. So I don't think that Charles Cross is going to get up this high, but we absolutely have to be thinking about Charles Cross through this lens of potentially playing really well this year, like maybe getting, call it a PFF grade of 82, 83 this season, and commanding something in this ballpark. Maybe he could push it up to like, I'd say something like 25 million a year. That's what Tunzel got last offseason. That's what Darisaw got, a little bit more than that this most recent offseason. And admittedly, Cross is going to be trying to outrun that fifth-year option, but some of these players were in that same boat. Like Andrew Thomas was facing the possibility of getting the third-year option when he got this extension, right? And he still got 23.5. This was last offseason. So I know that Cross has not been a great player through the first 2 years of his career, but that's all going to be forgotten if he has a big year in 2024. And he could get that 25, maybe even 26. So that's going to start mattering for the Seahawks real soon. Right tackle, not so much. I don't think Abe Lucas at this point is thinking about anything other than the next football game he's going to play. Hard to imagine him commanding big money with the way his knee is, and there's nothing else to really talk about. I will say, though, it's worth noting that Penny Sewell, has wrecked the right tackle market to an extreme degree. 28 million. The next highest guy is like 20.2. So if the day ever comes that the Seahawks have an elite right tackle and they have to pay him top of the market, that's not going to be fun because Sewell ruined it for the rest of us. All right, so guard, that's another position where as of right now, the Seahawks can't really be thinking about this that much. They don't have any guards on the team that are currently showing they're one of the best guards in the league. The market, however, was reset this offseason by Landon Dickerson, who got $21 million a year from the Eagles. That's obviously a left guard, but honestly, it doesn't matter that much. Robert Hunt is a right guard, and he got $20 million a year, so it's not like there's a huge difference there. So that's where the market sits right now for the guards. And then we have center, where Creed Humphrey did set the market, I think a few days ago, 4 years, $72 million. That's $18 million a year. He destroyed the old market, by the way. Frank Ragnow was at 13.5. So Creed Humphrey just nuked it from orbit at 18 million per. So when the day comes the Seahawks have an elite center, it may very well be that expensive. But we don't have one right now, so we don't really have to think about that. Moving on to the defensive end position, looking at some of the edge rushers. Bosa still owns the market. In fact, nobody really got that close to setting the market this offseason. Danielle Hunter got 24.5 this offseason. That was kind of the biggest one that kicked in. Leonard Williams is actually on this list pretty high. He's the second highest of the ones who signed a contract this offseason. So Bosa still destroying this list at $34 million a year. Now, the Seahawks, either way, don't really have to worry about this. Byron Murphy's a rookie. We already paid Leonard Williams. There's really nobody else on the defensive line that's going to push for this. Defensive tackle, if you just want to reduce inside, however, Chris Jones did get his $31.75 million average annual salary on his deal, which easily set the market by over $4 million. This might matter in 3 years for the Seahawks, depending on what Murphy does, but right now, doesn't really affect anything that we're doing here. Doesn't affect the Seahawks. So, nothing really to report there. You go to outside linebacker, Joshua Hines-Allen, or Josh Allen, as everybody remembers him, signed a record-setting deal for that position at 28 and a quarter, and Brian Burns basically equaled him with a 28.2 with the Giants with a 2024 kick-in date. So that the market was set here this offseason. Again, I don't think the Seahawks are thinking about giving anywhere near this kind of money to any linebacker they have on the team. So this stuff is all pretty normal. We don't really have to think about this all that much. Inside linebacker, same deal. No market setters this offseason. The top of the line is still Roquan Smith at $20 million a year, and then Fred Warner at 19, and Tremaine Edmonds at 18. Patrick Queen was the highest this most recent offseason at 13.6 or 13.7. So there was nothing close to a market-setting deal this time around here, but that obviously has no effect on the Seahawks because they don't currently have any of those top-of-the-line linebackers that could be getting paid at this level in the near future. Cornerback, however, it's a little bit of a different story here, and this is where things are going to get troublesome because we just had a nice streak of positions where I wasn't really that worried about anything. Like, maybe you go to like outside linebacker or edge rusher or defensive end. You could at least make an argument that, hey, Boye Mafe could get close to the top of the market, but I don't think Boye Mafe, even if he has a really good year this year, is getting more than Bosa, and I don't think he's getting more than Josh Allen or Brian Burns either. I don't think he has that rep. I don't think he has that all-around game that is going to fetch that kind of price, but we absolutely have cornerbacks on this team that in the near future could demand top-of-the-market deals, and you can see where the top of the market has been defined. Jair Alexander, years ago, this is a couple years ago, got $21 million a year. And the market has not been redefined beyond that yet. We do have AJ Terrell this offseason got a $20.25 million extension, so close. But for the most part, we haven't been able to pass Jair Alexander yet. But I'm telling you, next offseason, Riq Woolen, I don't think he has the all-around game to request top of the market money. Like maybe he could get like 16 or 17 million if he's really good this year. But a couple off seasons from now, Devin Witherspoon is absolutely going to be pushing this, and he's probably going to push it by a lot. If he performs the next 2 years, Devin Witherspoon is absolutely that cornerback that is going to want $25 million a year. He is going to be setting the market there, and you can see, you can draw a through line here of where that market is probably going to be. Again, 25 mil at least. So between those two things, that's a massive amount of cap space, which is why I've said many times, I don't think Woolen's going to be sticking around here. We're going to have to make a decision, and I don't think it's going to be keeping both Witherspoon and Woolen. I don't think the math does not math at that point. So I think you pick one, and I think Witherspoon is clearly the better player. So unless Woolen is willing to take a lot less, and I don't know why he would, I don't know why he'd be even thinking about that, then the math does not math to me. All right. That's cornerback. That's probably the last major one. We already paid Julian Love a pretty good chunk of money this offseason. We don't have to worry about extending him for a while. And Rayshon Jenkins is not that kind of player. So the market was redefined really well by Antoine Winfield Jr. this offseason. 21 million, basically, a little over 21 million a year. No Seahawk is going to be touching that anytime soon. What, Kobe Bryant? Okay. Yeah, okay. Good luck with that. But we don't have to worry about this for a little while. And then we just get to special teams here where you got Harrison Butker setting the market at $6.4 million for a kicker, which, I mean, Myers is not that deep into his contract, so we don't have to worry about that. The punter market hasn't been reset in a few years, and the guy who set it is actually the homie Michael Dixon, so we don't have to worry about that either. Although his contract is going to come due in a couple years, he might want an extension next year. Don't be surprised if he's out there saying, like, I want $4 million per, but I will happily do that. That's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, especially when you're as good as Michael Dixon. So maybe Michael Dixon resets the market next offseason, but If he does, I welcome it. I don't think it'll be like some massive jump. It'll probably be 4 million, 4.1 million, and Dixon earns that money. All right, so that is an overview of the way in which the markets have been set or not set this offseason, as well as a rundown of how it will affect the Seahawks. You can see there's actually a big set of decisions to make here. We could see a close to market setting contract at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, left tackle. Some people would say maybe edge rusher because of Mafe. I don't think he's going to get quite there. But then you have cornerback and punter, I guess. So pretty going to cost a lot of money, and we're probably not going to be able to keep everybody. But let me know what you guys think. Just thought it'd be fun to run that down real quick while we're waiting for cuts. See you guys later. Should get some cut information later, and we will have plenty of time to process the new roster. Thank you once again to BetUS for sponsoring the video. Remember, always gamble responsibly.